We do have 2 members absent with notification.
Yep, Rodney is absent with notification, and so is Paul Archer.
Okay, and I believe that Rainey will probably be joining us anytime. Okay, first item would be adoption of the April 6, 2026 regular meeting. You guys had a chance to review those?
I make a motion to accept the regular meeting minutes.
We were all off.
I make a motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to adopt the minutes of the April 6, 2026 regular meeting as they were presented. Any changes or discussion?
No.
Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next item would be the adoption of the April 27th, 2026 special meeting and site walk. You were not
I
there,
wasn't there.
which leaves only 2 of us. Should we wait for a 3rd member on that or not?
If you want, you can table those for tonight.
I think I would be more comfortable doing so.
Yep.
Do we have a motion to do that?
Motion to table?
I second.
Motion's made and seconded to table the minutes of the April 27th, 2026 special meeting site walk. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Okay, first item this evening would be citizens' participation. This would be the time to address us on anything that is not in public hearing. So long as it's not the Husky project, come and join us, and we're more than happy to hear what you have to say. I'm sure you're ready to come up, Al. Just- No, I figured you were probably going to be talking about it, so.
Sure. Alfred Dufresne, 148 Pond Road, Dayville, Connecticut. Yeah, it's, O'Kinley Pond is drained down to its lowest level right now. It doesn't look too pretty up there, and, now what I'm hearing, we're having an El Nino, if I said it correctly, summer. That's what they're predicting, which means we're going to have a lot of drought weather, coming up. So, yeah, it's pretty concerning, with the middle reservoir. The O'Kinley Pond feeds it to the low-level outlet. And, we'll see what happens with the middle reservoir. Hopefully it doesn't hurt it, damage it too bad, and then that feeds Bog Meadow. That one's a very shallow reservoir too, with a lot of turtles and stuff, and aquatic vegetation. So I hope it doesn't really have a lot of die-off, green algae, and with your aquatic vegetation, with nitrates, high nitrates. I noticed our pond doesn't have a lot of aquatic vegetation, but when it went down, we did have the aquatic vegetation die off, and we did. I seen green algae there. I don't know about cyanobacteria. It looked like it, but you have to have it analyzed. It looked like even that small amount of vegetation we had it looked like cyanobacteria. So we'll see what happens, because we're going to find out. Unfortunately, we're going to find out what happens. It's Bog Meadow I'm kind of really concerned about. Okay, that's it. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Ula?
Ulatique Barclay, 26 Dark Lantern Hill Road. I'm just going to piggyback off of Mr. Dufresne's. There have been reports of some wells going dry, and also some that have to shut off their pumps during the day in order for the water to come back up so they could use it.
Thank you. Anyone else on?
Hi, Claudette Rogers, 294 Putnam Pike, and I am concerned about the water in the town, and I'm not sure what we can do as a wetlands committee to get further information on how to protect our aquifers and our water from the town. And with the PFOBs in the wells and stuff already, and I really think that before we go looking on industrializing the town, we should really be worrying about our water supply. We just voted in $750 $100,000 as a town to create an access road for our high school sports players. I would like to see $750,000 put towards our water supply, to protect our water supply in the town of Killingly. We all consume water. We don't all play football. We don't all play baseball. We all consume water. We do, the plants do, the people do, and it's very concerning that even our protected aquifers, I don't feel are being protected. So that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yep.
Good evening. My name's Russ Daniels, 27 Sales Ave in Dadeville. I'd like to remind everybody that this abomination that Amazon is proposing isn't the only thing going on in town. There's two developments possibly going up on Putnam Pike across from the town garage, totaling over 400,000 square feet. That's all ledge that goes down that road, right up to the high school. If you remember when they built the high school, you saw that water coming down the hill 24/7 for the longest time. That's because there was so much ledge where they built the high school, they had to blast and blast and blast some more. Fleet Construction of Smithfield, Rhode Island did that project. I personally knew Peter Calcagni, who's the owner. They went out of business from that project. The two other proposals totaling over 400,000 square feet, how much water are they gonna use? How much blasting are they gonna have to do? And put cracks in people's foundations and nearby houses? And that's not even getting to Amazon. Can you imagine the water they're gonna be using? And we're facing a possible water
The
crisis right
Husky
now.
project is in public hearing, so you'd have to talk about that one later.
Fine, but what my point is there's gonna be some tremendous drains on our water in this town. 95% of us who are homeowners have private wells. I know I do. And so if you don't have good water, your property's almost worthless. This is something that everybody needs to seriously consider.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, I think we're ready to go on. First item this evening would be public hearing, which is application 26-1624 of Ryan Companies. And this is, public hearing is continued from our April 6, 2026 meeting. Jonathan, you want to start with where we stand on it before we open it up?
I mean, I'm gonna let a lot of them do that, but generally speaking, we've been working with a third-party reviewer, and there's been some updates to the overall scheme of project, so they're gonna talk about a little bit of that tonight. You know, we have all the materials currently are on the town website for anyone to review. We also keep copies in our office for anyone that wants to come in and take a look at them, but I'm gonna defer to them.
Okay, I don't know if this would be the right time or later. I do know that one of our members had gone out there for a site walk, and there was some concerns with some stuff. I think maybe that should go into the record as well.
So there was some due diligence, some restoration work that was done on one of the forestry trails,
Okay.
just kind of restoring that as it crossed through and adjacent to a wetland area. That restoration work has been done. I was on site on Friday overseeing that.
All right, thank you. All right, so I guess we need to know where we currently stand before we know what we're talking about.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the commission. My name is Tom Cody. I'm an attorney at the firm of Robinson & Cole. Our office is located at 1 State Street in Hartford. And I'm here on behalf of the applicant, Ryan Companies US Incorporated. As John mentioned, this is the third night of the public hearing. We started on March 2nd, continued to April 6th, continued to tonight. commission conducted its site walk on the 20th of March. Ty and Bond, your third-party reviewer, also did a site walk on the 24th of March. On the 20th of April, our team submitted a comprehensive response to your third-party reviewer's comments, which were delivered in a memo to the commission dated March 20th. So we submitted that, and then this past Friday, Ty and Bond responded to our response, and we're happy to note that of the original 70 comments and questions that had been asked in Ty and Bond's letter from March 20th, 63 of them were noted as having been satisfactorily addressed. The remaining 7 comments asked some follow-up questions and made a couple of follow-up points, and we are going to review each of those this evening and sort of take you through them. And we, of course, will follow up tonight's sort of verbal testimony on that with a written submission answering and addressing those remaining 7 comments. So for this evening, our presentation will be 3 parts. First, I want to update the commission on the anticipated tenant for this facility. Second, as I just said, we will review the remaining outstanding comments that Ty and Bond has raised. And then thirdly, we're going to show you some anticipated revisions that we're going to make to the site plan, really which were driven by comments that came from the state of Connecticut on our site plan application. Fortunately, those changes to the site plan will, we think, be a net improvement for the wetland application because it is going to reduce the area of activity within regulated areas. And we'll get into that tonight, and we'll show you those areas in more detail.
1 second, just for clarification. Jonathan, we have all this information here. Is that all already on the website for people to be able to get to find it?
So everything in the packet is
Is on the website?
Along with a plan set that accompanied one of the responses from the applicant. That plan set is being updated right now. They'll go over that a little bit, but there is a bunch of
So
information.
everything is updated on the website through the May 7th correspondence?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the only thing that isn't on there that you're seeing tonight is this presentation slide.
Okay.
That will get uploaded
Now, just so
tomorrow.
everyone
That's
knows.
great.
for-
And
the public.
as we go through the presentation this evening, we can update you on what we think the rest of the schedule looks like from our standpoint. All right, so during the first 2 evenings of the public hearing, there were a number of comments and questions inquiring about whether we knew who the tenant would be at this facility. And at the April 20th meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission, which is sort of the first night that we presented the site plan application, we informed the Planning and Zoning Commission that the anticipated tenant for this facility is Amazon. And I think as everyone knows, Amazon is a leading e-commerce retailer. Amazon operates an extensive logistics network across the country. At the April 20th Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, Brad Griggs, an economic development manager with Amazon, addressed the commission, and he did describe a couple of things about Amazon's operations which might be relevant to the project here in Killingly. The first is that Amazon sort of thinks of its logistics network in 3 phases, if you will, or 3 parts. And this is pretty common throughout the logistics industry today. There's first mile facilities, middle mile facilities, and then last mile facilities. First mile facilities are e-commerce warehouse and distribution centers that complete the first leg of the e-commerce process. In other words, goods get brought by truck to a warehouse facility where they're unloaded and stored. And then as a customer order is received, the orders get fulfilled at that facility, meaning that they get taken out of storage, put into a box with the customer's label on the box. At that point, the box gets loaded into trucks and it goes to other facilities further down the chain, middle mile and last mile, which actually do the real delivery of the thing. So when you receive a package from Amazon, you're generally not getting it from a first mile facility, you're getting it from a delivery station or other last mile facility. And so this facility here in Killingly, what's proposed is a first mile logistics facility. It will be a fulfillment facility where goods will be brought by truck, they will be unloaded into the building at one of the loading docks, they'll be put into storage, and then they'll be retrieved from storage when customer orders call for that item, any particular item to be purchased. It gets put into a box, labeled, and then sent back out to another facility for delivery. As we noted on the April 20th meeting with the Planning and Zoning Commission, sometimes there are a small number of flex drivers, which are delivery vehicles, personal vehicles, that will come to a facility like this to make a small number of customer deliveries. So back to the Wetland Commission and the relevance of that information to you. I think we made our point at the last meeting that from our standpoint, the most important point is that we have proposed a warehouse and distribution center in this wetland application. Amazon's facility would certainly be consistent with that. It's really the prototype e-commerce warehouse and distribution facility today. So the key, I think, for the Wetland Commission is that the warehouse and distribution use is permitted in the BP zone with site plan approval from the Commission. So that doesn't really change. All right, so next in our presentation, what we would like to do is walk through those 7 comments that I referenced. And to get us started with that will be Tim Underko with Langen Engineering.
Thanks, Tom. Good evening. Tim Underko, professional engineer at Langen, office at 555 Long Wharf Drive in New Haven. As Tom mentioned, we received a peer review letter from Ty and Bond, and on May 7th, we compiled our response, or actually, we received their response to our response. And in that initial review, there was a total of 70 items or comments that were raised. And during the course of those correspondence, we've satisfactorily addressed 63 of them. I think there's actually more than that that have been satisfactorily addressed, and that a few of the items remaining open are closed with possible feedback to the commission or staff on next steps. So, Jonathan, you can go to the next slide here. We're just going to run through them and point out the comments that we believe are still open that we are working to close out. So we will have another written document that addresses these 7 items with additional information and make sure that we get to a spot where we don't have any items hanging out. The first item on the Ty and Bond review is item number 45, where they ask for information on the construction of the bridge abutments and separation distance from resources. So we are actively working with Dean Gustafson, who's to my right, the bridge engineer, and the Ryan construction team to create a figure and have some notation added to the plans to provide those separation distances. And that comment was to make sure that we have a distance set so that we can maintain avoidance to have a direct impact during construction. The purpose of the bridges is so that we don't have a direct impact, that we can work from the upland on both sides of the resources, and having some clear expectations of how that's going to go is important. So we will work up a response to that. The next one is item number 51, which talks about herbaceous invasive species, and I will let Dean provide some feedback on where we're going for a response.
Great, thank you, Tim. Great, thank you. Dean Gustafson, Senior Wetland Scientist of All Points Technology. So we actually discussed this item last week on May 8th with town staff and the peer reviewer to kind of work in some additional performance standards as it relates to when the percent of cover of invasive species would trigger a reduction in the actual wetland function of these habitats. So one thing that we did agree to is that we'll use a quantitative trigger of 50% cover of invasive species that would trigger a restoration work and control of those invasives. So we'll formalize that in a response, as Tim had indicated. This may be a good point to also kind of refresh the commission on kind of our overall project strategy with respect to invasive plant species. Our mitigation plan includes the removal of invasive shrubs and vines from almost 130,000 square feet of wetland and upland review area habitats. In addition, we will be employing an invasive species control plan that will also be implemented during construction, and that will also include a 3-year post-construction monitoring period of the proposed areas of disturbance. That invasive species control plan has various elements to it. First starts with contractor awareness training so that they're aware of the need to be sensitive to importing invasive species during construction. That also includes requiring all contractors power wash their vehicles and equipment at their job sites before any materials, equipment are transported to the project site. That'll help control potential bringing in invasive seed stock into the project site from contractors' vehicles and equipment. And then another important element is that all the topsoil that will be removed from the site will be stockpiled on site, will receive temporary seeding to minimize the potential import or a foothold for invasives to get into some of the disturbed soils. And that topsoil will be used to restore various habitats and planting areas on site. That will avoid the need for importing topsoil from off-site, which could potentially contain additional invasive species. So we have a fairly comprehensive plan with respect to controlling invasive species with this project. Thank you.
Okay, item number 54. This was more of a point out to staff in the commission regarding the need to include possibly as a condition any information that comes back from DEEP on their review of the wastewater management system. And this comment specifically related to we have our wastewater management system on the north side of the site, and several hundred feet downstream from that leaching field area is a stormwater outfall. The peer reviewer wanted to make sure that the material submitted to DEEP included both the sanitary sewer waste treatment as well as the stormwater management plans, so that the state had a full picture of what we were looking to do in that area. We confirmed to the peer reviewer that our submission to the state included both the sanitary sewer treatment facility as well as the full grading and drainage plan for the site that showed that outfall. And we've actually had our first call with the DEEP reviewer who will be doing the technical review of our application and confirm that they have all the necessary materials. So if that issue were to come up, we'd be able to speak to it. But I think this was more of just flagging an item to make sure it isn't missed. And number 56 in the peer review comment tied to item number 54, and that paragraph ends with this comment has been satisfactorily addressed. So put both of them up there since they are related and do tie to the deep review that's ongoing of the wastewater management system. Next slide, Jonathan. 57, similarly, this comment has been satisfactorily addressed, but it points to the commission as a potential condition regarding blasting plans. Also, there was a request by the peer reviewer for testing of the on-site rock for, I believe it's pyrohite, which is the expansive rock that's been found in building foundations around the state. We are not in a mapped area of the state that includes that shows that rock is present on site, but out of an abundance of caution, we've collected a sample and have sent that to the lab for testing. Item number 60 is a question about excavation groundwater flow. We are working through a response with my office and Dean's office, and we'll have that compiled for our written response back to the peer reviewer. And then item number 65 relates to silt fence placement and wildlife movement on the site, and the need for field review kind of as the erosion control measures are placed. And Dean's going to provide a little bit of color on that one as well.
Thank you, Tim. So we will work with Tim and his team to incorporate additional notes into the erosion sedimentation control plan set to minimize any temporary impacts to wildlife movement. That'll include modifying our wetland protection plan to include site monitoring during construction specific to wildlife movements, to address specific activities that we're observing during construction, and to be able to modify those controls as needed based on site conditions. And that'll minimize and avoid any wildlife impacts during construction. Yep, I'm good. So this, what we're going to do is step through there from Time Bond's field review of the wetlands with their wetland professional. There were 5 comments that were provided at the end of this memo. And Jonathan, if you can switch to the next slide. Thank you.
Just stepping in for a second. So this memo is also in your guys' packet.
So items 1, 2, and 3 we'll address with some subsequent slides. We'll stay on the slide for a moment. So item 3, which deals with review of construction period for erosion sedimentation controls near wetland 17 based on observed water flow. So this particular area of the site, there is a concentration of flow through kind of the central part of the building footprint under existing conditions. That's kind of related to kind of a broad topographic swale, and then actually what's forming in particular wetland 17, and then the outfall of flows out of wetland 17 that continue head in a westward direction. There are some sensitive wetlands and vernal pool habitat further downstream of that location. So there's some particular sensitivity with this part of the project. We will work with Tim and his team to kind of dovetail in some specific requirements during construction phasing as under the E&S control plan set to address those concerns. So as needed, temporary diversion swales, temporary sediment basins, will be provided in that area to kind of control those flows while the site is under construction. And that'll go a long way to preventing any incidental effects further downstream of that location. For item 5, areas within adjacent to wetlands 21 and 22, if the commission remembers my presentation from last month, we're proposing an additional wetland creation enhancement, upland review area enhancement area in between and around those 2 wetlands, kind of located off of Baker Street. And so those, the comment we got from Time Bond is that they appear to provide an opportunity for additional mitigation. There's really no additional response needed for that. Next slide. Comment number 1 was associated with removal of some construction debris that's kind of off to the side of the north side of the proposed access road. There's an existing farm road crossing through that area. If the commission remembers from their site walk, there's miscellaneous concrete pile and some bituminous pile in that area. So we'll make a specific note in the plan sheet for the wetland mitigation area to include removal of that material during construction activities. And we'll also restore that area with some native plantings. Next comment, please. So comment number 2 is associated with our, an area that was observed during our field review with the peer review wetland professional. We saw an area that had some suspect area that potentially appeared to support wetland soils. We were asked to go back and take a hard look at that area. We also were asked to take a look at the north end of wetland 25 to see if we would consider expanding that wetland slightly further to the north. We did essentially the following weekend, or actually a couple following weekends after that field review, we went out, myself and another senior wetland scientist, went out, dug a bunch of test holes in that area and determined that it doesn't contain poorly drained or very poorly drained soil, so it doesn't classify as a Connecticut wetland. It mainly consists of moderately well-drained soils. We have test pit data, profile description, full profile description, photographs of that area to document that it's not wetlands. We'll include that in our formal response, but there is no additional wetland feature in that area that we were asked to check. We did take a hard look at the north end of wetland 25. We did find at least one small area that was found to contain some poorly drained soils. It's somewhat subjective, but we did expand that area maybe about 10-15 feet further to the north, and it resulted in increasing the total size of wetland 25 by approximately 610 square feet. So it's a pretty small addition. I will note that with that small area of addition to wetland 25, which is part of the proposed permanent impacts as part of this project, we did take a look at how it would affect the mitigation ratio, and it essentially just changed it by a couple of hundredths. And so we have a revised mitigation to impact ratio of 1.38 to 1, which still far exceeds the town's requirements of 1 to 1. And it may be a good time to also kind of refresh your memory that that mitigation ratio is just associated with our proposed direct impact, wetland impacts, and then the proposed areas of wetland creation or restoration. So essentially creating new wetland areas. That doesn't include various other mitigation that is proposed as part of our comprehensive mitigation strategy on this project. We have upland review area pollinator enhancements. We have wetland enhancements where we're removing invasives and replanting with natives. We have a little over 76 acres of conservation easement, and that includes preservation of over 300,000 square feet of significant high-value wetland areas, including vernal pool, significant vernal pool habitats, as well as important headwater wetlands, which are key to maintaining downstream water quality. And then finally, we have 216 acres of the Markover Conservation Area. So we have a very comprehensive, all-encompassing mitigation strategy for this project. Next slide, please. And finally, for comment 4, as we were making our way out and back to the vehicles, we did take a look at where one of the proposed bridge crossings was located, and this area right behind this home is in close proximity to that proposed bridge location. Essentially, there's bituminous material that's been placed behind the home as part of an extension of their driveway. It goes pretty much right up to the edge of the stone armored stream system. So the comment we received is, incorporate that area for some restoration during overall projects mitigation strategies. So we'll remove that area, we'll restore it with native vegetation, and provide some additional mitigation for the project. And that concludes the response to those comments.
All right. So up here we have the rendering of the site plan that we've presented at previous meetings. And Attorney Cody mentioned that we've got some site plan revisions that are being driven by Connecticut DOT's review of the application as part of the planning and zoning submission. So if you recall, when we were here previously, we had 2 driveways off of Westcott. We had a northern driveway and a southern driveway. Orange circle is around or I guess it's east and west. So the western driveway is circled here. 395 runs north to south. And as part of that plan, we had 4 bridge crossings. Each driveway had 2 bridge structures to cross over the resources. As part of the review with DOT, we are eliminating that second driveway that's circled in orange there. So, Jonathan, if you could go to the next slide. Gonna kind of show this is a slide that we had also used previously that shows all of our upland impacts to areas of the site where these driveways enter the property. So all of that purple was upland impact. With the removal of that second driveway, we eliminate 2 bridge crossings, so we go from 4 bridge crossings to 2. We remove 1.1 acres of impervious due to that run of driveway, and reduce 1.8 acres of upland impact when we remove that driveway. So all of the purple that you see there in the circle goes away and pulls down our total upland impact. So we still have engineering to do on this. We have final coordination and calculations with Dean, but wanted to provide an update. And Jonathan, if you go to the next slide, this is what the site plan will look like after we remove that second driveway. So again, orange circle is an area where we had a driveway that went out to the intersection of Baker and Stern and then went out to Westcott. That's being eliminated. The upland impacts in that area, as well as the bridge crossings, are being removed. So wanted to make you aware of that, and we are working on the engineering to make a resubmission both back to the peer reviewer and your commission, as well as the Planning and Zoning Commission, that reflects that change. Doesn't make any revisions to the site up at the building, and the existing eastern driveway that we had proposed, that alignment remains the same. We have a couple of changes to make in terms of bridge widths and lane widths based on feedback from the fire marshal, but believe overall in terms of impacts to upland areas and as well as the removal of the bridge, this is net positive for that area of the site where that second driveway was proposed. So more to come on that, but we wanted to make you aware of that change as soon as possible. And
great, thank you, Tim. I can add a little bit to this discussion. So although this is a relatively minor design change in the overall scheme of the proposed project, it does equate to a fairly significant reduction of wetland and upland review area impacts. One thing that we were able to do, working closely with Tim's design team, now that we're down to a single access drive, we were able to shift kind of the central portion of that driveway a little bit further to the west, which was paged down on this, and get it, increase the buffer to wetland 14 and vernal pool 16, which is kind of on the east side of that access drive or page up. I don't know if Jonathan, if you can point that out. Yep, perfect. So just, essentially just page north of that orange circle on the other side of the access drive, that's the wetland 14 / vernal pool 6. So we always adhere to maintaining at least a 100-foot offset from that vernal pool, so we're not affecting the vernal pool envelope. But because of this design change, we're able to accommodate a slightly larger buffer to that wetland area, and particularly to where that vernal pool is located. So it may result in a small shift, but it ends up having a fairly significant impact because of the location of that vernal pool embedded within that wetland system. The other aspect to consider is that with the removal of the second drive, Tim had already mentioned that we're removing permanent crossings of those various wetland features. That results in actually creating an increase in the value of the proposed mitigation area of wetlands 21 and 22. And that's mainly associated with now that there's a strong connectivity between those wetlands, 21 and 22, all the mitigation surrounding them, and then some of the adjacent wetland vernal pool habitat, as well as the pollinator field enhancements further to the east. So that has a net positive impact beyond just kind of calculating the numbers of your upland review area activities. So it's fairly significant, even though it's a small design change.
Can you advance the slide, John? Thanks. So sort of by way of wrap up, we wanted to just share our thoughts about how the remaining materials would be submitted and the timing of that. So we're here this evening, May 11th. Our plan is 1 week from today, on the 18th, we would submit revised materials showing the change that Tim and Dean just described to you with the removal of that western driveway and the revised wetland impact numbers. As Dean said, they will be moving in the better direction. Less upland review area disturbance, 2 less crossings, and better connectivity. So we will submit that on May 18th, and then what we'll also do is submit a letter responding to those 7 comments that we referenced tonight that we walked through. We'll have a formal written response, and it will dovetail with the revised plan so that it all kind of fits together. What we would ask the commission then is to continue this public hearing until your next meeting on June 1st. And at that point, hopefully Ty and Bond would have had a chance to review our final responses to those 7 comments that they've raised, and also have had a chance to look at these plan revisions as they relate to those changes, and they can provide input on that as well. And at that point, I think we would be in a position to say that we've got everything submitted to you with time for review to have been done.
I believe we will need you to agree to extend the public hearing. I believe it's in their court for that, isn't it, Jonathan?
Yes.
Yes.
We do agree, and I have a letter to that effect, which I'll hand to Jonathan.
We will need that for the record as we go
Okay.
forward.
So that concludes our presentation for this evening. We're certainly happy to answer any more questions that you have.
Now, before we open up to the public, did you have some concerns or questions? Or you good? want to address some things yet, or for them to look at?
We also have a member of the third-party review here tonight.
Great.
so.
That'll be good, so we'll have them come to,
Yes, I made notes, bear with me.
I knew that you had some things that you were waiting on here, so,
Oh, I've still got lots of questions.
Oh, no, I know
Let's
that,
start with this. So, back to the tie-in bonds response and review, it was number 51. And you're talking about the invasives and your plan. Can you please remind us, refresh our memory, what is your plan? Are we talking mechanical, chemical treatment? What does that look like? And what is the impact of it?
So, generally speaking, and this is laid out in the wetland mitigation notes and there's a separate section dealing with invasive species control. In that, it's mainly dealing with using, essentially first mechanical cutting down to the base, and then application with an approved herbicide. That will be either hand painted on, or sponged on, or using a low volume sprayer to avoid overspray. That's typically the most effective means of controlling, particularly the invasive shrub species that are prevalent in some of these understory areas. Multiflora rose, Asiatic bittersweet, Japanese barberry, all the typicals are on this site. In our 30-plus years of experience dealing with invasives control, those are the most successful means of controlling those invasive plants. It minimizes also the application of herbicide to the environment using those techniques as stated. And it also doesn't happen in areas of open water. So we're dealing with essentially terrestrial wetland features where you just have, wetland soils, but you don't have open water areas.
So nothing would be impacted or being done near the vernal pools?
That's correct. Yep. We would never apply that technique within a vernal pool. And for all the vernal pools on the site, there isn't an issue with invasive species in those features. So that's correct. We wouldn't do that in any open water, including, ephemeral open water vernal pool habitats. And we can add some additional notations within our invasive species control notes to make that clear.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
all right, and you didn't have anything? You were good with everything up to now?
Up to now, I will have
Okay,
questions.
and we do have, we should probably have our own review, our third-party review, a little
Yeah,
information?
Yeah, if, you
Great.
introduce himself.
Evening, Madam Chair and members of the Commission. My name is Andrew White. I'm a registered professional engineer in the state of Connecticut with Tie and Bond, and have conducted the third-party review for the town. As the applicant had presented, we did have a meeting last week on May the 6th with town staff as well as members of the applicant team, where we had reviewed all of the comments and what was outstanding. The information that they had presented, to the best of my knowledge at this point, is correct and accurate. They do have those 7 outstanding comments in which they had verbally addressed what was presented this evening to us, and we will be awaiting those comments on the 18th, in which case we will then review the entire package again, including any modifications to both the resource areas as it pertains to the plans, as well as stormwater management, as you will have a reduction in that impervious conditions from the driveway being removed. So we'll take a look through all of the materials once again. But as was stated, what I anticipate seeing is the remainder of our comments being addressed to our satisfaction, and we will present a letter in kind saying so, or providing additional comments if they are not addressed satisfactorily. I'd love to take any questions or comments from the commission at this time.
Right. Anything else? Like I say, you were writing away there.
I'm sure it's going to be addressed, but I'm curious about what's going to be included in the plan for the blasting plans. Like, I'd like to better understand what that impact looks like. But I know
Makes
that's one of
sense.
the outstanding ones they're working on, so.
Correct.
All right. Thank you
Thank you.
so much.
You're welcome.
Now, any other comments from the citizens that you'd like to address? It would have to be pertaining to wetlands, not
Yeah.
P and Z issues.
Yes, I have a comment.
What was
Could you
that?
just give your name and address?
Sure, Samantha, and I live on Gear Road,
Yeah, we need the last name as well for the record.
St. Ange.
Okay?
So I have a few points and questions. One, I'd like to seek a little bit of clarity regarding the type of facility. I know that the gentleman that was speaking earlier had indicated certain types of delivery, but at the most recent zoning committee meeting, there was a further inquiry regarding that, and they confirmed that they were offering same-day delivery and that would be done by flex drivers. So there would be a number of in and out flex drivers throughout the day as well. So I just wanted to get some clarity around that. Also, has the applicant provided actuals of potential impact regarding the wildlife that would be impacted, and can that be made available? And I ask this because I'd like to understand deeper what type of wildlife has been observed, when, what time of year, what day, were there nocturnal observations? Were qualified individuals making those observations? And I say this because myself and my neighbors have given examples of hundreds, of birds, amphibians, bugs, plants that we've consistently seen living here, abutting this property over the years. And then the last thing that I wanted to note was, I know we're very much focused on the wetland disturbance and restoration, but that doesn't address the impact to the woodland that's also being cleared. Hundreds of acres that surround these wetlands. And it's 2 points. It's well documented that uninterrupted tracts of woodland are crucial to these ecosystems, more so even that the footprint is important, is the uninterrupted tracts of land. And woodland around wetlands is critically important to wetland wildlife. So the surrounding woodlands, the riparian buffers, act as, and you can Google this, I'm not an expert, but they act as an extension of the wetland habitat. So providing essential nesting, foraging, overwintering areas that are not fully aquatic. So it does impact the wetland that you're clearing and paving over and building on hundreds of acres that surround them. These are crucial wildlife habitats for amphibians that spend most of their lives in the surrounding woods. The woodland also offers protection and buffering, trapping sediment and pollutants. It offers temperature regulation for these areas. It's a food and source structure. So I don't feel that any of that has been addressed on the impact to the wetlands in the meetings that I've observed.
Thank you, Samantha.
That's all. Thank you.
Is Rainey on there as well?
Who?
Is Rainey on there?
I am on here. I
Okay, you
apologize.
You have been here, we did not know that, so you would be acting as a regular member this evening. Did you have any other comments as a commissioner?
Yeah, my biggest comment actually was about connectivity from vernal pools and dispersal ranges. Just making sure that those are addressed as far as connected wetland and upland systems. So these breeding amphibians and obligate species for these wetlands, especially the ones that are very important to breeding habitat, that they maintain some kind of wildlife corridor. I believe there was a comment about this. I don't have the packet right in front of me right now, but I will more formally make this comment and whatnot. But that is my biggest concern with a project this size. Obviously the going down to one roadway is helpful for that in one area of the project, but obviously with the size of this actual structure, this building going in, and the removal of 3 interior wetlands, it is blocking a significant wildlife corridor and passage. So that is my biggest concern. at the moment.
Thank you.
Sorry.
And we had not noticed you on there, Randy. I'm sorry. We're
I
just glad to catch you.
I got here a little late. I apologize. Today's been a day.
We're just glad you made it and hope everything is well. Okay, Al.
Sure. Al Dufresne, 148 Pond Road, Dayville. I have a little speech here. Good evening. My name is Alfred Dufresne, and I have experience working in public water supply. I want to briefly address concerns regarding the proposed Project Husky development and the broader watershed and aquifer implications tied to the site. The applicant and third-party review briefly mentioned the headwaters, but I don't believe the larger watershed implications were fully addressed. In the applicant's own materials, stream S7 is identified as a perennial stream and headwaters system flowing downstream towards Mashantuck Brook. Headwaters matter because what happens at the top of the watershed affects everything downstream, including groundwater recharge and aquifer systems. I also want to note that many of the watershed scale concerns raised in my previous public comments, including cumulative impacts, long-term chloride loading and thermal loading, groundwater impacts, and long-term reliability infiltration systems, were never substantially responded to. I do not believe this massive industrial project is appropriate for this sensitive wetland and headwaters area. My concern is that the discussion has focused mostly on whether the stormwater system can technically be engineered to function, rather than whether this level industrial development should occur on sensitive headwaters land in the first place. The project relies heavily on infiltration assumptions, yet concerns were raised in the third-party review regarding soils, shallow groundwater conditions, and the long-term performance reliability. These systems may function differently decades from now after compaction, maintenance issues, winter sanding, and repeated salt applications. I also want to mention thermal loading and chloride loading. Large expanses of dark roofing and pavement absorb heat and could raise runoff temperatures before discharged into nearby wetlands and streams. In addition, winter de-icing chemicals, especially chlorides, are persistent pollutants that do not simply disappear. They can migrate through groundwater, wetlands, and connect aquifer systems over time. Hydrodynamic separators and engineered systems are not designed to fully remove dissolved chlorides. Once these contaminants enter groundwater and aquifer recharge areas, they are extremely difficult to reverse. I think it's important that the Inland Wetlands Commission continue looking not only at the short-term compliance calculations, but also at the cumulative watershed scale impacts, long-term groundwater protection, aquifer recharge protection, and groundstream ecological health. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Dr. Robert Carlson, 66 Youngs Lane, Danielson. Despite the incomprehensible verbiage that's been hurled at us relatively rural rubes, I am equally concerned as my previous commenter about the effects of the stream coming down from that hill that passes two of our eastern properties, neighbors, and passes through our pond and goes down towards Main Street in town. I'm really concerned about the salt in the water, the oil and gas leakage from trucks, cumulatively thousands of trucks over time, and I think our water's going to be terribly affected by this, and I rather hope it is not. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. Kyle Borner from Pomfret, Connecticut. So I'm coming here tonight because my partners and I own the property at 210 Westcott Road. Many of you are familiar, that's the chamber building. And one of the reasons we're here is because I think that the notes from Ty and Bond in the response in that letter were quite complete. They were, of course, not sufficient. There were still 5 items that were still had been identified from the additional site walk which it sounded great tonight that we're still waiting to hear those responses back, and that the meeting will be postponed and the public hearing will continue to be postponed. And of course, we heard tonight that they're also going to be changing the dynamics of the road, which significantly impacts our property, specifically in the impacts to potentially the watershed if they're going to move the road more westerly as opposed to having the two roads. I think there's certainly concerns from my partners and I as to what those impacts might be on the water coming back down. Of course, we're downstream of, or sort of down in the slope from where that new, much larger road would be taking in all of the traffic. I think that there's some significant concerns as to how that could be impacted. So I would encourage the commission, hope the commission, that you will still, since they've made this change, I think as they noted tonight, it was a relatively small change. Certainly isn't small from our perspective. It's pretty significant from our perspective. They would make sure that we're including, a thorough, comprehensive review of all of the impacts to the watershed, specifically to properties like ours.
Thank you.
I'm still slow. I'm Charles Ferlin. I live at 86 Knox Avenue with my wife Pam, and a well that's downstream from this project, so I have interest on this. And first, I was shocked to find out that there's been no consideration as to the runoff from fires at this facility. You know, we've never had a facility this large in Killingly. The night of the meeting, there was that huge fire that destroyed the Kimberly-Clark warehouse out in California. There's been 9 fires since then, since that fire. It is a problem, and you have to, I do not believe, and of course as a country rube, as the good doctor said, I'm not sure, I don't believe that their stormwater system is capable of handling what would result from even a minor fire. It takes over 40,000 gallons to put out an EV fire. And with the advent of electric trucks that Amazon has and the coming trailer trucks, I don't know how many tens of thousands of gallons would be necessary to put out the fire. So I hope that before you approve this, your third-party consultant will look at the runoff from the warehouse. Now, and it's from fires inside. I've been looking at this, and the more I read, the more I want to crawl under the bed. I didn't realize that there's fire dangers just from the doors to these to where the product comes in, and so that and plus we have these hundreds of devices inside the warehouse roaming around with lithium batteries, and the danger of thermal, I think it's called thermal runaway, where they burst in flame, and that's more and more a problem with fires. Plus, they won't tell us what they're putting on the roof. In fact, this is a problem with the entire project. There's a concept called coming before a commission like this with unclean hands. I know that council says that they had, and I believe he's telling the truth, that he had no idea who was coming here. But that doesn't mean that the company is not lying. You cannot get the financing to go to your consolidator or to your individual financing unless you show them who you expect to be in there and how you're going to pay the loan. You can't go to the insurance underwriters without giving them sufficient information to figure out the risks and figure out if they can get reinsurers to spread the risk out to several companies. You can't have architects design plans without giving them information. Remember, a warehouse is nothing but a distribution center. Unlike a warehouse, is a large machine. And so it's specifically developed. Now, the other thing I just want to briefly, and I'm almost done here, and I apologize but I take this personal, that people will disrespect the community by not telling us sufficient information so that we can actually judge the project. We've spent treasure already, and now we're to be able to determine if the system is capable of handling runoff from a fire, we're going to spend more treasure. Now, I will tell you that 2 weeks before the last meeting, a former town council chairman came and told, and I know Pam says we gossip at the barber shop, but it's not true. We get news. And he told Wayne exactly the week that this would be announced. I believe he was part of the conveyance, was representing people in the conveyances. And so that they knew before they told us the last meeting that they had no idea who's going to be here. And so you have the right simply for unclean hands, talk to your counsel, but I believe you can deny the application just on that alone, because the reason why they didn't want to tell you is that it's going to get expensive to mitigate the dangers to the wetlands and the groundwater and the water courses from fire. Now, yeah, they cannot, and it's not reasonable to expect them to protect the properties from a catastrophic fire. That's unreasonable. And and one of the reasons when we adopted the zoning laws, we recognized that this might be a Superfund site if there was a catastrophic fire. That's just, but you can require them to do something that's reasonable risks. And I still don't know why they wouldn't tell us. It could be money, because if you remember at the first meeting, someone asked them the question, what about snow? And they had no plan at that time on what they were going to do with the contaminated snow. So they went back. And that tells you the whole concept of this project. Try to do the least possible. So I really believe, I'm sorry about this. There are good people who are trying to sell their land on this project. It could be a benefit for the community, but if you look at how they've handled it, it should be denied, and unless they solve the problem of the runoff from fires, and there are fires, and that is a risk. And what you develop here today on this project, you're going to view. You have three other major projects coming. You have the 2 warehouses, and you have the potential data center. And so you're setting standards now for the wetlands, and it would be a shame to have just a small minor fire like they've had 2 in the last month at the loading docks, and have that contaminate our wetlands and maybe my well. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else this evening?
Those were some excellent comments. One thing that hasn't been addressed is...
We saw, even though we had it before, you just have to give your name and address for the record again. Yep, no
Russ
problem.
Daniels, 27 Sales Avenue in Dayville. Anyways, I had the experience of working in a warehouse when I first bought my house. I worked 2 jobs, and about 90% of all the material in any kind of warehouse is flammable. The electric vehicles that the gentleman before me was mentioning, they're lithium electric batteries, and they're in warehouses everywhere now. They are extremely flammable. If you've ever seen a Tesla go up in flames, you can't put them out. You can spend 2 or 3 hours spraying water on that fire before it goes out, probably longer. I recently, not too long ago, saw a Walmart warehouse out in the Midwest somewhere, 1 million something square feet, go up in flames. Black plumes of smoke. The groundwater contamination from all the toxic runoff was, the people living in that area were ruined. Their properties are valueless. Also, this is 1.37 million square feet. Nobody's mentioned how many square feet is a parking lot. The parking lot is designed with the way they propose, 440 parking spaces for tractor trailers and 900 for vehicles. Stop and think about this, people. The edge of downtown Danielson is right here. You go 2 or 3 miles up 395, exit 41, it's Killingly Commons. That's becoming a big traffic jam now. And the traffic coming out of this, with 440 tractor trailers and 900 vehicles, obviously it's not going to be filled that much all the time, but it's a significant uptick in traffic. Another thing that nobody's mentioned is that the 1.37 million square feet plus the parking lot, if this was to be built, is going to kill everything underneath it. Everything. And all that runoff, I don't care how many catch drains they put in. Asphalt is permeable, meaning water will seep through it eventually into the groundwater. And that water is all going to be polluted. The other thing is the quality of life. With everything that's going on with Old Killingly Pond, the Whetstone Brook, we all in this room may not all individually know each other, but we do, because we're all connected, because we all drink from the same aquifer. We're all neighbors. And when it comes to these big corporations like Amazon, once they build their little building, or huge building, and they're out of town, they don't give a damn about you. If you've got any problems, you call them up, they're going to refer it to you to some lawyer. You know, so once you approve this, you're stuck with it. And it's going to negatively impact this town in a huge way. God forbid that there's any kind of fire in this place, because it's going to be a big catastrophe. We probably don't have the means in this town to handle such a fire. The Danielson Fire Department is closing their doors very soon. You know, you really got to think about these things. And what this previous gentleman said about openness and being upfront is extremely important. Amazon came before us like little tiny Trojan horses, just a little bit at a time. They get one toe in, then they got another toe in, then they had another little Trojan horse, and next thing you know, they announce who they are. That's how these people work. That, to me, that's really sleazy. Once they get their foot in the door, they're going to kick it down. These are all things that you people better seriously consider. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else, but make sure it pertains to the wetlands issues. Ula?
Some of the information that I
Ula,
had.
just give your name and address again.
Ula Teague
and again,
Barclay,
and
26 Dark Lantern Hill Road. Some of my information is repetitive because I'm third, or fourth or fifth, but I'm gonna say it anyway. But my first question is, I would like a direct answer to what the name of the approved herbicide is, not a roundabout answer, a direct answer, please. So, many of the residents have voiced their frustration and that their input is being disregarded, even when the information they have presented has been supported by documentation and technical data. The third-party review of the Husky Project, Amazon Distribution Center, recognized the property encompasses vulnerable areas that supply headwater areas and streams. The headwaters are the source, upper tributaries, and streams where a river first begin. They are located at the highest point in a watershed area. The highest point of the property is precisely where the Amazon Distribution Center is proposed. The building itself will cover greater than 30 acres of its footprint. The mid-range estimate of the parking areas, which includes 930 employee, visitor, car parking spaces, 430 trailer parking spaces, and 60 tractor-trailer bays, which is approximately anywhere from another 15 to 25 acres of impervious surface, which is at where the aquifer and the recharge area is. However, this does not include all impervious surfaces, such as the access road. The third-party review did not research the larger watershed and aquifer repercussions raised by the residents. The review primarily concentrated on if the stormwater could technically engineered to satisfy standards only on paper. The third-party review did not thoroughly analyze the long-term impacts to the headwaters feeding the Mashantuck Brook system and the nearby tributaries such as Fall Brook and Davis Brook. We were very nicely told at the planning and zoning meeting that this is not a protected aquifer. It doesn't matter if it's not a protected aquifer. It still needs to be taken into consideration because this is where we all get our water. Once the water is contaminated, it is gone. And this has been said over and over and over again. No, it does not have to be a protected aquifer, but that should be. All of our aquifers should be protected because most of the town's residents rely on that clean water source. What percentage of the recharge area is negatively impacted? I've found anywhere from 50 to 90% of the recharge area is going to be impacted. The proposed Amazon distribution center is not in an isolated bubble. The adverse effects impact killingly in all the surroundings areas and can never be reversed. And only through the devious and underhanded manipulation of the planning and zoning regulations does this mega distribution center comply with the business park district. This was done underhandedly and slipped in. Thank you.
Thanks, Ula. Anyone else this evening?
Amelia South, 731 Upper Maple Street. So something that I know you guys are trying to address the invasive plants, invasive species. You're going to dig up the plan is that you're digging up the vernal pools, right, and moving and replanting invasive species, or sorry, replanting native species. But the fact that I haven't heard anybody say anything about, because I don't know if anybody's even thought of it, is that when you're doing the construction, there's a lot of chemical runoff that happens, and the native species can't handle that. That's why invasive species move in, because invasive species like Japanese knotweed, and I'm going to say something about that in a second, are meant for phytoremediation. Phytoremediation, in case you don't know what that is when plants remediate the soil, the chemicals out of the soil. And so one of the reasons why you always see Japanese knotweed along the side of the highways is because of all the toxic crap coming off the cars going off the highways into the ditches. The Japanese knotweed, you can hate it as much as you want, but it's actually trying to fix the soil. And you're going to go in where these invasive plants go in and try to fix all the damage you did and then spray them even more with more chemicals, making it way worse. So I took a couple notes here. Construction of large facilities like this create key chemical threats and impacts, including herbicide drift and misuse. Frequently used in and around construction sites, herbicides like glyphosate or dicamba can drift, affecting plants over a mile from the intended application site. These chemicals can kill native vegetation, resulting in barren, eroded soil. Soil contamination and compaction. Construction sites often introduce heavy metals, chemical residues, and high pH concrete wash, which alters soil chemistry that, along with heavy machinery compaction, create conditions in which native plants cannot thrive. Fuel and oil spills. Leaks from construction machinery can kill existing vegetation and poison the soil, requiring remediation, which no one wants to do with the invasive plants that do it. Invasive plants, that's the thing. You're like, oh, I've got all these great chemicals to kill all these invasive plants that are coming in there to try to fix all the stuff that you're destroying. Putting more native plants there that can't survive all the chemical crap that you're putting in the soil isn't going to fix anything. What was I saying? Oh, purple loosestrife absorbs lead from soil and grows invasively in wetlands. I'm sure everybody's seen purple loosestrife along wetland areas. Research shows that Japanese knotweed is highly tolerant of polluted environments and can actively remediate heavy metals from the soil. They're especially good at absorbing copper, lead, zinc, and also cadmium. And they're for phytoremediation. So anyway, that's one major point that I hadn't heard anybody address. The other thing, as far as I have heard, the lights are going to be on at this place 24/7, right? Did they already address that? They're not turning the lights off at night. So it's great that we're going to, move the frogs from here to there, but what do we do about the light pollution? Like, not just humans, humans and we all need dark, okay? So I have a note about that too. Amphibians, this is going to be long, sorry. Amphibians have evolved under predictable light-dark cycles, with most species relying on darkness for foraging, reproduction, and predator avoidance. Many species have adapted to darkness as their primary period of activity, exploiting ecological opportunities while minimizing predation risk. Unlike traditional pollutants, which often have natural analogs, artificial light constitutes a fundamentally novel disturbance. Organisms that rely on synchronizing their internal biological processes with external light cues now face altered photoperiods with diminished periods of natural darkness and increased periods of light. Such shifts disrupt circadian rhythms and force biological systems to adjust at multiple levels, from individual physiology to community dynamics. Artificial light at night alters the rhythmic expression of clock genes and perturbs physiological pathways essential for cellular and organ function, including metabolic activity, hormone oscillations, and stress and immune response. These effects can cascade to behavioral and ecological consequences, altering feeding, resting, reproduction, and migration, ultimately influencing fitness and survival. At the community level, these driven changes, light pollution-driven changes in species interactions can affect population viability, restructure food webs, and shift biodiversity patterns, altering ecosystem functioning. This is for everything. And I know we're just talking about frogs here, but frogs are a part of the ecosystem. You start small and then eventually goes up the food chain to people. So, yeah, I'm just putting my 2 cents in that I'm against this project yet again, so. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else?
Hi, Diana Weber, 238 Mashantuck Road. One of my concerns is that Mashantuck doesn't seem to be being talked about, and like with the third-party reviewer and everything, if you have 70 things come up, that's kind of like your sign, and not that I can, but I wish Jonathan could put up the slide that shows the building on top of, because it's like, there's the building, and it's just all water. It's like the only thing that isn't water was the building. So, we're here and we're concerned, and it's about the water, and when you look at it, that's all it is. So in their number, not ours, they're saying minimum 400 tractor trailers a day. So of course that's gonna have an impact on the water. Of course there's gonna be pollutants, and a hydraulic line goes, or a brake line, things happen in the real world and stuff, so it's like, if we're gonna have 800 trucks going up and down that driveway every day, which is what they told us was gonna be last meeting, then it can't not impact our water. It just can't. And, I feel like their boundary stops here and the water continues on there, and there really hasn't, I feel, been a good look at Mashantuck and the headwaters and everything there, and right now we have a healthy ecosystem, just this week I got to enjoy the wood ducks and their babies, and the mercengers and their babies, and a blue heron before I left for the meeting tonight. I had a beaver visit me. Now, I'm not a fan of the beavers, but he came down, because my pond is full of fish, it's like he was just getting a bite to eat, and away he went back to his dam. But there's things going on there that are gonna be impacted severely. But just, like I said, even just that picture, you have the documents and everything. You just look at it, and to me, it's like a no-brainer. When you got that much water involved in a site like this, and then you start blasting into bedrock, and God knows what's gonna leach into the ground during that process and everything. They wouldn't tell us how many years of construction there would be. During that construction, you've got heavy equipment, and, like I spent a summer on a construction crew, we blew hydraulic lines. That happens, and especially when you're moving heavy materials and rock and everything. And so it's just, in my mind, I just see you can almost see it just leaching off of the project and into the wetlands. And I just hope that everything is looked at, that it's complete, and that you're thoughtful about it. And again, like I said, when you got 70 concerns come up and, you know, they've addressed them all, they're saying, it's not always just about crossing the T's and dotting the I's. It's like the impact. It's all about the impact, you know? So 800 trucks, you know, and then the personal vehicles on top of that. And this is their prototype. They used the word tonight, and I was thinking that when I realized it was going to be e-commerce. Finally, the last meeting, they told us. And it's like, this is their prototype for, I don't know what the percentage is, but I'd be really curious to know what the percentage of robotics is versus people. Because when you see their own generated things, I mean, it's not men driving fork trucks and unloading trucks. It's like, it's batteries and lithium and just poison all around us. And anyway, I believe in you guys, and I hope that this project does not go through. We're fighting for our water at every turn here, and it just doesn't seem right. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else?
Good evening, Claudette Rogers, 294 Putnam Pike. I just wanted to mention again about our water, and like the people before me said, and how this is going to affect the water. On one of my maps that I have, I didn't realize it was 2010 that it was not a protected aquifer that went all the way up to Westcott Road. And then looking at the 2026 one, the aquifer has receded down to just the borough of Danielson. So I don't know what's going on, why there's not water, but I've also talked to a person who lived on Mashantuck Road that said that when their neighbor put their well in, their well started acting wonky, where they had to have something go on. So I'm not sure why we don't have as large of an aquifer, or if I'm reading the map wrong, but it's showed in 2010, I don't know, maybe I'll share the map at some point, again, up to Westcott Road, and then now it's a protected aquifer underneath the town of Danielson. So it's protected. So if you guys know Danielson, Westcott Road is the top of the hill, Danielson is the bottom of the hill. So everything in between here, I don't think, like, we've had people at meetings telling us that they were going to better our traffic system. I don't think this is going to better our water system at all. So, and Connecticut DEP has let us down, I guess, for the last 40 years by not protecting our town dams. We have all the town dams that they have been monitoring. And if these are the people we're going to count on for my future generations, our families, to have clean drinking water, we're going to count on Connecticut DEP. We have to start local. One of my clients also told me, think global, act local. Like, we have to act local. We have to stand up. We can't fix the whole world, but this little town of our people, and knowing that water is life, and I love Amazon. I wish we could find a place for Amazon in this town. I just don't think Amazon should be on our aquifers. And I think Amazon should get you guys Bluetooth mics. Just saying, if they want to, like, bougie up the town a little bit, like, because your mics are very aggravating. But thank you. Bye.
All right, anyone else? Okay, Jonathan, I do believe that they'll be submitting a letter that they will allow us to continue.
Already received it. So,
Okay. Anyone else online? And Rainey, anything else that you caught while you were? Randy might be hiding.
No, nothing else for me.
Okay.
So, just for the record, so we've also received written comments from citizens.
Yes. And
Hard
they've all been
copies
submitted.
Were submitted to the commission members. The ones from the last meeting to now, I think, constitute comment number 52 through 81. Those are also on the town website for
Yep.
review.
And as we said, I believe everything is up to date on the website through the May 7th correspondence.
Yep, generally speaking, as soon as we get information, particularly for this project, we're trying to make sure that we get it on the website, and, you know, when we get comments, some people can't make it in, that way we can show them how to get it from home.
Okay, do we have a motion to continue the public hearing for the June 1st meeting?
Motion to continue the public hearing till June 1st.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to continue this public hearing for the Ryan Corporation Project Husky to our June 1st meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed,
Aye.
motion carries. All righty. You guys want a break before we start regular stuff? That's what I was gonna say, I see your big jug of water.
So they're gonna do a brief recess, but I just wanna let everyone know, because it's a comment that comes up every single month. We have other things on our agenda, so for anyone who's interested, there are other things on our agenda. Everyone was received copies of the agenda, so if they're interested, I'd ask you to stay. But I believe there's a motion.
Yep, we have a
for-
motion, it's second.
Motion for a 5-minute recess.
Yep, all in favor?
Aye.
Sure. Okay, actually, under unfinished business, first item is application 26-1624 of the Ryan Company, so we would need to continue this.
There's no action needed.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, it's just, because we've already continued.
I didn't know if, okay.
Yep.
If you need it done that way as well. All right, the next item is CJJ Adventure LLC, proposed 3-lot subdivision, and I believe that I saw Daniel was on.
Dan is on.
Yes.
You are there, Dan.
Yep. We're gonna get him moved to the, okay.
And I am here as well.
All right.
All right, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you. For the record, I'm Dan Blanchette. I'm the civil engineer and land surveyor. I'm here tonight on behalf of the applicant, CJJ Adventures. I see Jeremy is also here with us this evening. We are seeking your approval to do a subdivision to create 2 new duplexes at the property 647 Putnam Pike. We discussed this a little bit at the previous month. I know a few weeks ago there was a site walk. Unfortunately, I was not able to attend that site walk. I believe the applicant was present. I've been in communication with Jonathan Blake regarding some comments that were made at that site walk. I have submitted some revised plans that addressed a couple major items that were missing. First up, there were 2 utility poles that somehow got omitted from our drawing. We've added those back to the site plans. And then also there is apparently, and I'm embarrassed to admit this, there is a culvert under the existing driveway. And I've been to the site many times. I never saw it. It must have been just totally buried or obscured with leaves and other stuff.
Well, the
applicant's done a good job
could have had
cleaning
4
that
feet
up,
of snow.
making it visible. And so we've added that to the site plans as well. Otherwise, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Dan, would it be helpful? Do you want me to pull the plans up?
Yes, please. Thank you, sir.
It was a pretty tough site, I'll be honest with you. You should have come out there.
Rini was with us.
Rainey was with us. Rainey?
I was present. Yep, I was there for the sidewalk.
Yeah. Tough site, seriously.
That was a very difficult site.
A lot of wetlands.
A lot of wetlands, absolutely.
So this isn't the stamped copy, but it is the first one I got through. I think I just scanned the other one. I didn't move it over to the right folder yet, so. But I
Okay.
can, Dan,
Let
you
us
tell me
open it.
which sheet, if any, you'd like to rest on, or?
Should we just open one?
Absolutely, yeah.
They're all the same.
Most of the meat and potatoes and the revisions are shown on sheet 3, please. Exactly. Just to refresh everyone's memory, there is an existing house, an existing driveway, and the 2 new structures we're proposing to build are going to connect to that existing driveway, which will be widened. We are proposing some culverts under the new driveway. I believe they're sized to handle the 50-year storm. Again, it's 2 duplexes. We do have DOT approval. We have health department approval. Not zoning, of course. But again, if anyone has any particular concerns, I'd be happy to discuss that.
I know one of the questions had to do with the utilities, and I do appreciate the updated on the existing lines, because we weren't sure if it was coming off, but I see the proposed overhead utilities coming straight off of 12. So no thought that there would have to be like an additional pole or anything like that in that wetland area?
No.
Okay.
Correct.
Rainey, are you there? Because I know that you had some
I'm here, yeah.
ideas and concerns as well. In all honesty, it looked like it might need some shuffling when we were out there, Jonathan.
Yeah, oh, go ahead, Rainey.
I was going to say, I do recall, and I'm not sure if it's been reflected on updated plans, that there was a concern about the width of the driveway going to these new duplexes as potentially not being wide enough for 2-lane travel. I think it was depicted more narrow than we expected. And also, yeah, I do somewhat recall us being out there on in the field, wondering if there wasn't a better access than the proposed where it's turning in, like maybe even a little earlier, but My screen, I'm trying to zoom in as much as possible right now. So go ahead, Jonathan, if
Didn't
you
we
have a
talk
comment.
about any other possible configuration, but we just
Yeah,
couldn't figure out what you could do?
Oh, also, yeah,
we were-
maybe back behind the existing house as opposed to across into this upland
Right, we were
island in the middle of all these wetlands.
Exactly, we're concerned about the area of disturbance, right?
Okay, sure. So, regarding the driveway width, I believe the zoning regulations require a 16-foot width for a shared driveway, and so that's what I'm proposing on my site plans. If the commission wants something wider, I think we'd be happy to entertain that, but it would require more wetland disturbance and more impervious area. And then second up, in terms of access to the site, I do believe the current site plans represent the smallest possible amount of wetland disturbance. I estimated around 3,400 square feet of wetland disturbance. If you look at the site plan, you'll see the driveway is really crossing the wetlands at the narrowest point. And so unless we were going to build much further back in a totally different area, you know, we're trying to, again, minimize driveway length, reduce impervious area. And so we are hoping to build on that one little island of upland surrounded by wetlands.
I think that was our biggest concern. It truly is one little island surrounded totally by wetlands. Totally.
Yes, it's very unusual.
And in all honesty, it just doesn't seem like something we would normally put two houses on.
You may have to refresh my memory, and I apologize. In terms of the area for the wetlands disturbance, what is being proposed for mitigation? Like, how are you going to offset that volume of disturbance?
At the moment, we're not proposing to create any new wetlands for the area we're disturbing. Again, the site's pretty large, it has extensive wetlands, and so we're only disturbing a very, very small percentage of the total wetlands on site.
Thank you. I
And
don't
I-
have any other questions.
It's tough.
So
What made you guys decide to go with two
make,
houses on?
make sure your mic's on.
I think it is.
Oh.
Oh, maybe I'm
Okay.
turned.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we were whacking the papers.
I was to say, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I think we were all quite
Yeah,
concerned.
Jeremy, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was just gonna say, so we did look, because we've gone through many because of the complexity of this land, because there is quite a bit of wetlands, and there's really not really much on the land that's not wetlands until you get all the way back to like Wheaton's Pond in the very back half of the property, because we had looked originally even to just do it straight off of Route 12, but it's even more wetland disturbance to cross like straight rather than go in the side driveway. So when I was looking at it for the house, because I pretty much, this is going to be one of my houses for me to live at. And I'm going to have pretty much my mom's going to be moving up because I don't own a house right now. So pretty much I would have it, and then it would help me pay for having the driveway there. So, and my friend and partner, he lives in the main house, so this would be kind of nice for us to have for us to live, and it's all pretty much family that we're gonna have here. And the other part is, yeah, from the front, it was just gonna be a lot more wetland disturbance, and since we're just having the one driveway, and it's like, okay, what's the thinnest that we can do? And because that existing driveway to that house, it's a one way in, one way out anyways. So we're like, well, we could just do the same thing for that. And then pretty much the whole back of the property, that's all wetlands back there. So we're just leaving all of that because a lot of that comes from the runoff from the culverts on Route 12, and it just dumps all the water onto the property. So, but it's all like, I mean, if you had seen the property before, it was terrible. I mean, the amount of garbage and everything. Whoever owned this property before, I mean, treated it really bad. And that whole wetland and everything, the amount of garbage, tires, just literally bags of trash. Like it was literally the town's like everybody was illegally dumping on this property. And so just getting all of that material out was, we literally took out like 30-yard dumpsters of trash off of this property. So, I mean, in my view, we've done a tremendous amount of work on here because I didn't realize how much was dumped on here. But from my understanding, this was used as like the like illegal squatting and camping and dumping grounds and everything else. So when I bought this property, it was a huge challenge just to get it to this point. So so that was kind of my thought when I walked the property and saw like, okay, this is something I can do. You know, this was like, how can we least impact it and get something that's not like crazy to like, you know, clear out all of this and, you know, damage the wetlands in that sense. So it's kind of like when I went with Jonathan, it was kind of like, what's the least that we can do without touching the property? Because even too, like on the right side, we looked at over there because if you zoom in onto the property, to the right, we even looked for like trying to put a little house on that side instead. But just with the topography and the way it is, like I couldn't even really fit a house on that side. So that was like the, without disturbing more of all of the other wetlands in the, I guess that would be the northern part of it. So with the abutting properties.
But you have
So that's
so
what I'm
little land available, and basically you're looking at 4 homes, because it's 2 duplexes. When we were out there,
Yeah, I
it just seemed like one would make so much more sense.
Yeah, I agree. I think the big thing here is, you know, with the amount of wetland alteration being proposed with this crossing, you know, you want to get your money's worth. I understand that. But at the same time, I think that given the, you know, the upland review area and all of the buffers that we're considering and concerned with as far as these wetlands, minimization seems to be the best if this is the plan. And if you can't fit anything north of or west of the existing house in that pocket of upland, you know, that's my concern. I think that this is squeezing a lot in the little area you've got.
Yeah, and what I was looking at is kind of whether I put one house here, like just one larger house, I would still have to cross the wetland in where we're crossing it, no matter what, pretty much. So we would disturb it regardless.
But you have such a
if
limited
I put-
footprint there in which to do anything, and everything is so compressed. You're basically not even really having a yard or anything else that's not in the wetlands. It's all, it's jammed right there, it's just too much. And I mean, these are not lots of record or anything, these,
No, these are all proposed lots.
yeah.
I can speak a little bit to that northern and western portion. That area of the site, it's kind of just outside of what's depicted on the lot for lot 1 on the submitted plan. Does come up under the National Diversity Database
Okay.
for potential habitat. It's not identified as critical, but it usually means there's some sort of species going
There's
towards
something
that
up there
pond
going on.
area, which would be, you know, an element of concern if we were proposing development in that direction. And forgive me if I overstep, but it sounds like the commission is looking for alternatives,
Yes.
if any. You know, I jokingly will say sometimes on some of the wetlands impact applications, you know, the engineer's already gone through it with the client. They've already gone through all the different alternatives and stuff. It's a matter of showing your math, right? Like explaining to the commission why is this the most prudent and feasible alternative, and you know, if it is, if not, seeing if there's a potential for a prudent and feasible alternative. It seems to be the feedback that the commission's giving.
I think so.
Yeah, I would be, we explored many different alternatives for this site. I think we ended up looking at, 5 or 6 different locations for the houses. And as Jonathan indicated, once you travel west further from the road, there are some concerns with endangered species. So that was kind of also in the back of our mind, trying to stay close to the road, close to all the other areas that have already been developed. I understand that you have concerns about alternatives. I don't have those pictures in front of me this evening, unfortunately, but I have them at my office. I would be happy to submit to the commission all the other different things that we looked at before arriving at this conclusion. And then lastly, I'll say if the commission does want us to look at creating some new wetlands to offset that disturbance, the applicant and I would be happy to explore that.
I think they should.
Yeah, ideally,
Understood.
If we're doing restoration, highest and best,
pull that up anyhow.
is usually what we're looking for. If it's, on
That's one
proposed
turned.
lot B, somewhere in that area, if it makes sense to expand there versus, up near Route 12, or is there an opportunity on the originating lot on what's being proposed with lot 1 to maybe help better mitigate or prevent stuff going towards that endangered habitat?
Absolutely. No, that's a terrific comment. Jonathan, what I'll do is I'll reach out to my soil scientist, Joe Thoreau, and I'll kind of get his opinion on which wetlands are more valuable. And we can come back next month with some updated plans that kind of show the alternatives and show some other wetland mitigation or enhancements.
That makes sense. All right, do we have a motion then to table this? for next-
Motion to table to the next wetlands
Second.
meeting.
Okay, motion's made and seconded to table application 26-1627 until our June 1st meeting. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Have
you.
a terrific evening. I'll see you next month.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty. Next item would be application 26-1628 of A. Caution Sons LLC, 2-lot subdivision at 245 Yosemite Valley Road. Okay, you want to give us the rundown first?
So on that, we also have Bruce with Archer Surveying here to present that application. We did receive, albeit today, just a comment from the town engineer asking about the NDH approvals and driveway and the requirement for a driveway permit to be submitted. We have received a copy of the NDDH review that's in your packet tonight. I'm not sure if it made it to the online packet, but it is available and with the application. This one, I did receive
There is a comment
a
here.
comment from that. Hold on. There's only like one, so I don't,
Yeah, I have it here if you want me to.
if you don't mind.
Yeah, it's, dear members of the Killingly Planning and Zoning Commission. I'm writing as a concerned resident to express my strong opposition to the proposed subdivision application that would allow the construction of an additional single-family home on the property located at 245 Yosemite Valley Road. This parcel was sold in 2025 as an approximately 7-acre tract containing 2 existing homes. According to the Town of Killingly's own records and website, lot has already been subdivided into lots 4.2 and 4A, both of which now contain single-family residences. The current proposal would further divide the original 7-acre parcel and create a third dwelling unit on what was marked and sold as a single larger rural lot. I strongly disapprove of any additional subdivisions of this property. Town of Killingly has historically promoted responsible growth that preserves the rural character of our community. Repeated subdivision of already developed parcels increases residential density, strains local infrastructure, and erodes the open space character that defines our town. In addition, the proposed new home appears to be located in very close proximity to the existing property lines. This raises serious concerns about compliance with minimum setback requirements, potential impacts on neighboring privacy, and long-term compatibility with the surrounding residential uses in the adjacent preserved land. Furthermore, the lot in question directly abuts protected and preserved land owned by the Wyndham Land Trust, specifically the Yosemite Valley Preserve. Allowing further subdivision and development so close to this conserved open space raises significant concerns about habitat fragmentation, impact to wildlife corridors, increased stormwater runoff affecting the preserve, and the overall degradation of the scenic and ecological value that the preserve was intended to protect in perpetuity. For these reasons, I respectfully request that the commission deny the proposed subdivision in its current form. And that was that, so it's basically to P and Z
Yep.
for the subdivision.
Yeah, I think on that one, we sent it to both,
Yeah.
commissions, just because there was a little
Yep, because that way
overlap.
we have it in the record.
Like I said, we do have Bruce Woodis on for the applicant, and I think he can go through some of the updates on the plan set. There was updates based off of, I think, the comments received at last month's review. So, go ahead, Bruce.
Yes, good evening. For the record, I am Bruce Woodis with Archer Surveying, representing A. Couch and Sons in this proposed subdivision. The property is over, the property being subdivided is over 5 acres, and the 2 lots that are being created, one has an existing residence on it, and there's no plan changes to that lot. And then there's a proposed building lot, which is 2.83 acres located on the right-hand side of the drawing that you're looking at. We probably ought to put up the site development plan, Jonathan. There we go. So this is the lot proposed for a new residence. It has wetlands flagged by Joe Thoreau. You can see over on the left side there are wetlands, and there's a wetlands pocket over on the right-hand side. So there's a proposed single-family dwelling, 3-bedroom raised ranch with a minimally sized septic system. You can see the sedimentation and erosion controls between the proposed area that is being developed. We, at the last meeting, Mr. Galton recommended that wattles be used instead of silt fence in the area closest to the wetlands. So what you're seeing there is wattles along the edge closest to the road, and then silt fence continuing up and beyond as the area of disturbance moves away from the edge of the wetlands. As Jonathan indicated, we have health department approval. We are not proposing any wetlands disturbance with this project. And I think that's a pretty good overview of what's happening. I'd be open to questions at this point.
Where were the comments from Dave?
The
In this
comments are
packet?
in your packet, the ones
They
that
are?
I handed out to you.
Okay.
I think 2 of the comments pertain more to planning and zoning than
So I
to
was gonna
wetlands.
say, I
I
don't
think
believe
one
this
was
had many wetlands issues.
Yeah, I mean, the comment, I can read it. It was provide NDDH approvals for the plan, and a driveway permit is obtained, an adequate sightline is provided. We have no further comments. That was from Dave Capascione, town engineer, and it was dated April 2nd, but I'm gonna say that was from today.
Yeah, probably. Because I don't think last month, there wasn't really any issues with it, was there, Karina? Do you remember anything?
Not that I recall, no.
I think we were looking mainly for that modification as it
Right.
was between the septic system and
Yes.
the delineated wetland.
Yep.
Yeah, that sounds right. That's what I was thinking too.
And just because there's
'Cause-
only
Yeah, so you don't have any recollection either, Rainey, of anything that was critical with
talked-
it other than that?
Briefly about the erosion controls, and yeah, I think there was a separation with the, is that a leaching field or, yeah, so.
And because we only have one citizen's comment, I'll try to address some of the questions or comments. There was the originating lot with the two existing homes were legal non-conforming lot, and there was a free split that was taken that split those two parcels. This being the third lot being proposed is what triggers the subdivision, and that's why it will go to planning and zoning as well.
It should be noted that the proposed building lot that you see in front of you does not abut land that is owned by the Wyndham Land Trust. The portion of this subdivision is the existing house lot adjoins the Wyndham Land Trust. As you can see, slightly to the north, to the west of the existing house lot, that parcel abuts the land trust, but this parcel does not. It abuts land of Pepperny, I believe it is. And I don't know who wrote that letter. Did you say when you read the letter, Jonathan?
Brendan Adams.
Was a neighbor.
It's a
Okay.
neighbor.
Yeah, it says 298.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wait.
289, yeah, it's a neighbor.
Sorry. It's a neighbor.
Yep.
Okay. I just was curious.
Yep. No, you're correct, Bruce. It should be stated as part of the record.
Oh, God, yeah. We had it, but it is for P and Z.
Yeah, it's more of a P&Z issue.
Yep. All right, Rainey, do you have anything else either?
Nope.
All right, and you are a full voting member this evening, but now that we're going to,
The only staff
we should do a, oh, yeah.
The only
staff
staff comment I would have is just given the location of the proposed house and the proximity to the wetlands, but also that rear setback or side setback, that a surveyor should be involved in staking out the proposed development in coordination with the construction.
All right, so an actual surveyor should mark it prior to construction.
Yes.
All right, do any of you guys have any kind of a motion? No?
I believe we talked about this last month. This small wetland in the northern corner over here, not a vernal pool.
I believe we
Not a
discussed that
vernal
last
pool.
time, no.
Okay.
Not a vernal pool.
All right, so we'll need action one way or another.
Make a motion to approve application 26-1628.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to approve, do we want that one contingency though as well?
Yeah,
That,
including the
including,
contingency.
staff's recommendation that, the site be marked out by the surveyor prior to the start of construction. Okay, so we have that motion to approve application 26-1628 with that stipulation. Could we have a roll call vote since we do have one member remote?
Karina Tori, yes. Chris McDonald.
Yes.
Rainey Legault.
Yes.
Sandy Eggers.
Yes. Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone.
PNC's gonna
What's that? And apparently does not abut it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, now, we do have one item of new business. And that would be application 26-1629 of Justin Burke. Proposed construction of a single-family home and all that goes with it at 32 Gear Road.
So I did speak with the applicant's engineer, who did provide me an email. I didn't include that with the application, or with you guys
Anything in
tonight.
particular you wanna look at in that?
Request, respectfully, saying he wasn't able to attend tonight. I believe one of them had a graduation of one kid, and the other
Uh-huh.
one had a conflict in terms of schedule. So being that the application is just being received tonight, normally we'd be looking at it for kind of two different, or a couple different avenues. If you'd like to schedule for a site walk, receive it and schedule for a site walk, or whether or not you want to receive it and schedule without a site walk, whether or not you would want to have
Public
a
hearing,
public
yep.
hearing,
Yep.
or
The usual.
or the third-party review, any of those types of
Yep, the
things,
usual.
which is
So basically, tell us what exactly we have here on Deer Road and the location on Deer Road. Is it on the mountain or in the low spot?
this is on the upper side, upper hillside.
Okay.
It's not on the low side. So so I don't misspeak here. Where's this north arrow? Okay, so we are on the eastern side.
high side.
Of the road. Gear Road drops off significantly on the opposite side of the road. Maybe not directly in front of this subject site, but it does throughout. So it's on the high side of the road. This is I believe this is a two-lot subdivision. So that means you have the originator lot and the proposed lot. The originator lot doesn't qualify for a first time or free split in the opinion of the surveyor, so they are going for a pretty much your smallest potential version of a subdivision. The proposed home is a 3-bedroom house with a attached garage. You are seeing, the overall development on your screen. Most of that silt fence and E&S measures are to protect the roadway more so, but also to the west of the roadway, the wetlands.
Just trying to back up enough to
is
see
there.
what kind of slope.
Yep.
That's not the highest of the.
It's not the
That's
highest
not the
part
nastiest
of Gear
that
Road.
hill.
No.
No, not at all.
No, further down, this is closer to cross street there, closer to Cook Hill Road side.
Okay. Yeah, it's not as bad there.
So, the full application was part of your packet, just so that way you guys could look at it all there. There was a wetlands delineation done by Joe Thoreau, pretty common in this area, as well as some supporting soil stuff from NCRS with the application.
Okay, was there anything that was jumping out at you about
On
the site as
on this
well?
one, no, not necessarily. I mean, you have the drainage in the roadway areas. I mean, Joe doesn't flag any of those, but you do have these existing drainage structures, and I'll just kind of go the right way.
Yeah, it does have a catch basin right there. Yeah, right there on Year Road.
Yeah, so you have the head walls and everything. I mean, he's not showing any wetlands there. Not surprising. There's also a stone wall in that area. And I believe there's also an RCP pipe on this side. They're showing overhead utilities, which makes sense for the site. That's more of a that will be a call by the Planning and Zoning Commission, because by default our subdivisions require underground utilities, but they can allow for overhead. Otherwise, I'm not seeing too much. I mean, limited clearing would be important here in slope stabilization. I think is some of the most, silt fence, but whether or not there
Yeah.
be the necessity for matting or anything else as you come up for that driveway. The proposed driveway is also gravel. I didn't check the slopes, but we'd have to look at that.
All right, so I'm guessing that we can probably rule out public hearing right away.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you think this is anything we need a site walk for, or is this is close enough that I think we all probably can drive by it and look and see? Because I think the issue is gonna be how it comes down at the road
Right.
and how the runoff's
Yeah.
gonna be.
Yeah, I haven't walked it yet. I have driven by it, and you can see some of the wetlands flags from the roadway, so you kind of can tell where the proposed development
But I think
would be.
that way we could at least get a feel for how the water's gonna flow through there, I
we
think is
should
what the
take a
issue is.
look, Yeah.
There is an interior stream in that wetland, I believe. I believe Snake Meadow Brook goes right.
Should we go right
there's
through
a-
there?
Yeah.
Let's go for a walk.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we should.
All right, I think, is that a motion?
A motion
For-
to accept the application.
Site walk.
Receive and schedule a site walk.
Site walk, no public
Sidewalk,
hearing.
There we go.
Do you want to outline a day now, or?
We can try.
All right, Randy, what's your schedule look like too? I don't have all my stuff in.
Getting wilder, but I can make most afternoons work.
And at least it's close by, it's kind of close by
It's
for
very close
everybody.
for me. It's very close to me.
Yeah,
So
and yeah,
We'd be looking to do this before June 1st.
Yeah, so June 1st would be our next
That's our
meeting.
next meeting.
yep,
When we have a holiday.
yep.
So we could do before the meeting if you want. It's a little, but that's up to you guys, or,
Would that
I'm
make sense?
Remote June 1st?
Oh, that's right, you're in Virginia, so you won't be close then.
No, I won't be
Okay.
close at all.
All right, and I'm heading to Maine not until Friday of the 29th.
does a Friday
Good.
work for, like, say, the 22nd?
No.
I could probably do the 22nd.
Wait, not for Karina, what's
I
your,
don't think so. I was gonna suggest the 23rd.
The Saturday?
Yeah.
I probably won't be able to do the Saturday.
earlier in the day.
it's that time of year where I'm off with animals somewhere every weekend that I,
That's a holiday weekend too, I believe.
oh, yeah, it is.
Oh, what about the 21st?
The 21st, a Thursday?
Yeah, Thursday, towards
Thursday, the
later-
21st.
Towards the later afternoon. Oh, we do get.
Yeah, if it's later afternoon, I can do that.
Make sure, Thursday, the 21st. Yeah, I don't see anything at work that would make me run late.
Okay. Particular time?
5:30? Is
5:30?
that too late?
No, that'd be perfect actually
No,
for me.
and I don't think we're gonna be there that long, it's just, we can go and look and know what we're talking about.
Correct.
Okay, so 5:30 PM on May 21st, or sorry, yeah, April. May.
May.
Not April.
Thank you. May 21st. Okay. So you have a motion to receive and schedule a site walk, which we just identified. It's
Yep,
been
May
seconded,
21st.
I think, by
Yep.
Chris.
So can we do a roll call vote again?
Sure thing. Sandy Eggers?
Yes.
Chris McDonald?
Yes.
Renee Legault?
Yes.
Karina Tori, yes.
Okay, I think that takes care of it. So that will be our plan. Since we don't have Rodney here, and who else is in here? Oh, and Paul, maybe get the word out, like, send one message out right away,
Okay.
so that they have it in their head, but then send us another message as the moment approaches, because we will all forget.
Yeah, I can try to send something out tomorrow.
Yes.
And also just letting the applicant's agents know.
Yes.
And, yeah, and then I'll try to do a reminder either
Yes,
the
get a blast.
day before,
Yeah.
or the day of even.
Don't you guys agree? I'm sure I'm not the only one.
Yep. not a problem at all.
All right, that sounds good. All right, then our other thing, anything else for correspondence or anything?
I had no other correspondence to the commission. There was no authorized agent applications. Zoning Board of Appeals is meeting on Thursday. Nothing necessarily that would ever come before you guys.
All right. Fairly simple then.
Our town council liaison, I think, got swept up in the break
The great exodus there.
where everyone left, so.
All right.
everyone-
And that's, we all have to go vote tomorrow anyhow, so I'll
Oh,
report
yeah,
for them.
There you go.
Go vote.
Yep, so go vote for the budget tomorrow, however you vote, doesn't matter, just go vote.
Just vote.
Motion to adjourn.
He's ready, he's ready.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? I bet we can do that without a.
Aye.
We're not gonna forget you, Rainey, but we're not gonna bother with roll call for that.
It's all right. I'm glad I was muted when I laughed when everyone looked at Chris and said he's ready.
Yeah.
All righty, thank you
Okay,
all.
thank you.
Yep, bye now.
Bye.
We'll see you then.
Thank you. Bye.